So first things first, let's talk about it. Justin Fields has been traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it's a great fit for him. I think it's great for the organization of the Chicago Bears. I think it's all great all around for all parties involved, except for some Bears fans who still think Justin Fields was the truth, was the answer to all their prayers, and he just simply wasn't. A lot of things about life are about fit and are about timing. And Justin Fields didn't fit the Chicago Bears, and he really didn't fit the timeline of the Chicago Bears. This is a guy that needed to get paid soon, and he hadn't proved anything in the NFL. And the Chicago Bears are such a dysfunctional organization over the past 20-plus years that he was not talented enough to lift that organization up from the dysfunction that they are. He just wasn't talented enough to do that. I do believe Caleb Williams is talented enough to overcome the dysfunction of the Chicago Bears. Remember the Cleveland Browns when they drafted Baker Mayfield number 1 overall? In hindsight, looked to be the best decision for them, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that one. That could have been the Josh Allen draft, and if that's the case, then I'm severely wrong on that. But either way, the Browns selecting Baker Mayfield wasn't a terrible decision in hindsight. Baker Mayfield, at the bare minimum, can play. At the bare minimum, we can all just agree that Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback. But he was not talented enough to overcome the dysfunction of the Cleveland Browns, similar to Andrew Luck was talented enough to overcome the dysfunction of the Indianapolis Colts roster at the time, or other players in the history of the NFL who have been talented enough to overcome dysfunction, but not talented enough as well to other players who were not talented enough to overcome the dysfunction of whatever team they got drafted to. And Justin Fields fit that mold. He wasn't talented enough to overcome the dysfunction of the Chicago Bears. So everyone in Chicago Bearland should be giving Ryan Poles a big ol' hug, even though they still haven't embraced the fact that Justin Fields is not the guy in Chicago. And that brings me to Caleb Williams. I have my reservations about Caleb Williams emotionally. I think he's a little bit immature. I think from what we've seen, his snarkiness to the media, him going out to the stands and crying to his mother after a third loss in a game, there's a difference to me between passion and then making it all about you. That was weird to me. So my issues with Caleb Williams have always been the maturity, the rumors about asking for ownership of a team. That was true. His father tried to do that. Regardless of Chicago Bears fans want to say he didn't. He absolutely did. Saying he wanted to go cry and eat ice cream and sit with his dog and watch TV shows was just weird to me. So some of the things Caleb Williams has done has just been weird to me. It's just been a little immature, whether it's crying in the stands to your mother, whether it's the snarkiness in the media, whether it's the reports that he potentially was going to ask for ownership of teams, whatever it was for Caleb Williams, there are some questions for his maturity. Now, granted, has he shown better signs of that recently? Yes. But take away all those things. Caleb Williams is something Justin Fields was simply not. He is incredibly talented. He's one of the best prospects that we've seen in the past half decade or so in terms of quarterbacks, maybe even longer. So if there's someone that can overcome the dysfunction of the Chicago Bears organization, it's Caleb Williams. It was never Justin Fields. And any Bears fan that thinks that the opposite should have been flipped and Justin Fields should have carried this franchise, they're just wrong. And it's just plain as that. There's no statistic. There's nothing out there to show that Justin Fields has proven anything besides he's a mediocre quarterback in the NFL. And it's okay to admit it. It's okay to admit that you were wrong. It's okay that sometimes I admit occasionally I'm wrong. Even the greats like myself admit they're wrong at times. But Ryan Poles made the right decision. Getting off of Justin Fields, you couldn't bring him back. That would have divided the locker room even more so than it already was. And bringing in Caleb Williams with a clean slate, starting over the rookie clock, and Bears fans are going to be exceedingly excited in 2 years when Caleb Williams is a Pro Bowl quarterback, and they get to use all the money they're saving at quarterback to load him up with all the pieces on offense he wants. Similar to guys like Keenan Allen, like DeAndre Swift, and even more so on the defensive side. They can load up that as well. The Chicago Bears made the right decision, made the mature decision, and Caleb Williams is talented enough to overcome the dysfunctional organization. Justin Fields was just simply never talented enough to do so.